Scott McNair, injury attorneys, we fight for the win.
Good morning, everybody. This is David Vignair, and welcome to the Overruled Podcast, brought to you by the Scott Vignair Law Firm. We have a very exciting show today with just going to disclaim it at the beginning, a lifelong friend of mine from high school and a fellow lawyer in the legal community, Mr. Eugene Gouaux. Are you the third?
I am the third.
There were two Eugene Gouaux before you.
That there were.
Okay. And Gene, for those of you who may or may not know, is Gene is
Say it.
Gene is not only a lawyer, but he's also a professor at Nicholls State University. Professor Gouaux. He is the Harold J. Colley Endowed Professor of Economic Development at Nicholls State University. What is an endowment?
So an endowment is we have the Colley family. Very prominent people in the community. They came forward and they invested money, essentially, in the foundation for the benefit of the faculty. So the endowment, they put a certain amount of money in, and then the interest every year we get to use. So it supplements salaries. We can use it for programming, licensing. So, for example, I just went through an executive education program at Harvard Law School with their program on negotiation that was supported by this endowed professorship. So it does things like that for us, that we can go out, kind of expand our skills, and, of course, take those things back into the classroom. All
right. One thing, too, I wanted to let everybody know about our friendship and we went to high school together. We're educated in both world history and French. We're both fluent in French. We're both fluent French speakers. What were some of your fondest memories of learning world history?
Look, I was explaining to my wife the other day. She was like, so wait, David Vignair was there? I said, when I think of David Vignair, I don't think a story about world history. I think of a story from French class. Vignair and I were in the same French class, and where we learned a lot of French. From a prestigious woman who had never been to France. But
that's how we became fluent in
That's
French.
how we became fluent in French. But there was one day, and it was hot. It was like April, May of that year. And we used to try and make each other laugh in these classes. I don't even know if you remember this, but we got into class one day. You got there early, and we're like talking, and for whatever reason, Madame was standing at the front of the room. She was like, she started smelling something. Something smelled like it was burning. And I think you yelled out, "Something must be on fire!" But what you had done was you put the heaters on in the middle of May, and you'd convinced Madame that maybe there was some sort of fire going on. And I do believe you did get detention. You can cut that or leave that in.
I think we probably enhanced the French education through, enabling Madame to give us the appropriate dictée lines so that we could, je vais à la bibliothèque avec Jacques.
Exactly. Get out of the classroom. Vite, vite. Yes.
Exactly. So one thing I really wanted to get your opinion on that I think the people would want to know is, where do you stand on Grand Isle remaining in Jefferson Parish? Should it be in Jefferson Parish? Why or why not?
I think that the fact that Grand Isle is currently in Jefferson Parish is, I don't want to say disgusting, but I will say completely inappropriate. I will tell you that much. First of all, not contiguous with Jefferson Parish. That's absurd. Contiguous with our beloved Lafourche Parish.
For those of you who don't know, contiguous means not connected. So.
Yes, and thank you for that. Black's Law Dictionary definition. And so, no, of course, it should be a part of Lafourche. It's connected to Lafourche. We're thankful to have Port Fouchon down there, which is, of course, a big boon to the parish. But the fact that they'd have this little strip of land that would not be a part of Lafourche, it doesn't make much sense to me. I don't know the history of it, though. You're a Louisiana history guy. Right, you're educated by the best in Louisiana
Well, I was
history.
taught by Pizou, so
so never mind. You didn't have the Coachard experience.
Move back to the Jefferson Parish discussion, which is, where does the line stop? Is it the road between Grand Isle and Port Fouchon? Like, where does your understanding of where the dividing line is?
I would, based on nothing and no research, I would say it is that road. Okay. But that is not based on anything.
Because I heard somebody mention that they thought it went as far inland as Rome's Lounge, which I found to be preposterous.
I cannot fathom that Rome's Lounge would be the dividing line.
Right.
For many reasons.
Right, I thought. Okay. One thing I think people may not know about Eugene is that you are the magistrate judge of Lockport?
I am the magistrate judge of Lockport, have been for a couple of years.
Is that elected or appointed?
That is appointed by the mayor, approved by the council. So the mayor appointed me a couple years ago. I was approved by the council, and so once a month I sit in judgment of the people of Lockport.
And what are some of your favorite things, or what is the scope of your power? How powerful are you?
Sure. So essentially, I am the judge of the town, and the town has a list of ordinances that they have passed. And so Lockport has its own police force. So they issue.
I did not know that.
Yes, they issue summonses for violations of those ordinances, and those are heard before me. So it'd be like you're in regular district court, right? We have arraignments. People plead guilty. I sentence them to pay fines. Obviously, if they believe they are not guilty, we have a trial, and the town must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you have violated the ordinance. Some of the most interesting ordinance discussions maybe relate to zoning. Those could be interesting. A lot of animals roaming at large at times. So we have to say, have to look at that. Did they violate the ordinance? Can you even have this animal? So yeah, those are some things that we see.
How often do you hold court?
Once a month.
And where is it?
It is in the council chambers in the town of Lockport. Before I was the magistrate, I actually got a call from someone who needed defending in town court. She was from out of state. She was in Grand Isle doing some work, and she stopped at the local Rouses. And the people of Lockport are not really familiar with this concept of reusable bags. Mm-hmm. And so she had a reusable bag. She didn't want to use the plastic. So she was taking a lot of crab meat and a lot of shrimp she was buying from the Rouses and putting it in this reusable bag. And so before she was going to check out, they approached her and told her to please stop, that she was trying to steal this. And she said, "Oh, no, I'm coming to check out. Like, I have money." She also drove like a Range Rover. Like, she was not trying to steal the crab meat. Anyway, so the town charged her. Yes, they charged her with theft of crab meat. Yes.
Big offense.
Oh, big offense in my part of the world.
Crab meat's not cheap.
It's not. It is not.
Especially if you try to go to that place in the Zalmans. They're proud of their crab meat there, too.
Oh, wait.
Even though it's not technically down the bayou, it's a topic we'll get to later. I don't want to spoil that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. A little breadcrumb for you, the listener.
A breadcrumb. I do like punches in Lockport.
Punches. We love the punches. They're longtime clients of ours.
Can't beat the punches.
The
frozen selection, fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah. Absolutely. We'd put it up against any frozen section in the country. Tell you that much.
All right. Moving on. We've covered you being a magistrate in Lockport, but the key issue, which I've gotten to many debates over the years, and I really want you to weigh in on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have my own opinion, but I'm not going to influence yours. Sure. Where do you believe down the bayou, when I say DTB, down the bayou?
Yes, of course.
Some may call it DTB. Mm-hmm. Where does it start, in your opinion, and why?
I feel I am the best person to answer this question. So I'm glad you brought me on to answer it.
I think you're pretty good to answer this question.
Yeah, I grew up in Lockport, which for your listeners, they know it is the middle part of the parish. So I grew up kind of dead center in the middle.
Which parish are we talking about?
We're talking about Lafourche. Yeah. The Fork.
Now, I just want to make sure, in the context of discussing where down the bayou starts, we're limiting this discussion to Lafourche Parish, right?
Right now we're talking Lafourche. We'll get to Terrebonne in a second. Okay. All right. So here we are. I'm from Lockport, middle part of the parish. Now, of course, Thibodaux people, y'all think everything's down the bayou. You have no concept.
We're y'all.
Yes. Okay. Oh, yeah, y'all. That's right. So
New Orleans people think Thibodaux's down the bayou.
Yeah, and they have really no idea.
No idea
oh my God.
what's going on. They are so wrong.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Come on. People from Lockport, I would say, are definitely not down the bayou. I would say down the bayou doesn't start till you get to La Rose. And once you get to La Rose, you are down the bayou. If I told someone from down the bayou that, hey, look, I grew up in Lockport, I'm from down the bayou, they would be deeply, deeply offended.
Aghast.
Aghast.
They would be aghast.
They would be aghast at that statement.
To describe it. Yeah, I tend to think that Raceland is like the gates to down the bayou.
Oh, wow. Raceland. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's not down. Some people think Raceland's down the bayou.
Yeah, I know.
You call it, you pronounce it Raceland?
No, I say Raceland.
Okay. Just not use it. Just want to be clear.
Yeah, Raceland. That's Raceland.
Raceland. Okay. Because some people think Raceland's down the bayou, which I find to be
that's absurd.
Preposterous.
That's absurd.
I mean, spur 90, spur whatever 70 we call it. You go through the stinky sugarcane factory, sugar mill. That takes you right to Raceland. You got to work harder to get down the bayou.
Absolutely, that's absolutely not down the bayou at all.
But I always wondered if you thought that Lockport is where it started or not.
I don't.
And now it's been cleared up, so thank you for that.
Yeah, that's no problem.
What is one of your favorite Louisiana cities? And you can't choose Lockport, obviously.
Yeah, I'm not going to choose Lockport. I do think Thibodaux is the best Louisiana city, but I will not even pick I will not even pick that.
Well, let's unpack that a little bit. Why do you believe Thibodaux is the best Louisiana?
I think Thibodaux's got it all.
Okay.
Thibodaux's a university town. So you have that university feel there. The kind of people that work at universities, the university life, you have that student life. I think that's fantastic. Thibodaux has the small town feel, obviously, but it's got everything you need. Super Walmart.
It's got 3 McDonald's.
Lowe's, 3 McDonald's. I mean, come on. Previously, multiple Wendy's, RIP to the one, by my house. And then
my parents would agree with you.
Yeah, I think they would. I think they definitely would. And so it's actually interesting. So when Rachel and I, my wife, we're talking about getting married and where we're going to live. She's from New Orleans. She grew up in Lakeview. She went to Mount Carmel, all these things. It was a big discussion. Like, where are we going to be? Where are we going to settle? And yeah, for me, it really always was Thibodaux, And I think we're lucky. We had a great childhood, right? We really did. We had great friends. It had all of those things. It's got industry. It's got the university. And so I think it's
only an hour from New Orleans, too.
It's only an hour from New Orleans.
Hour from Baton Rouge, too. So you can go to both.
Very nice.
Both of the big cities.
The big city. As people refer to New Orleans, the city.
The city, that's
right. The city. Rachel still can't get over that. She's like, can they not just say New Orleans? I said, babe, that's just what it is.
The city. That is what they say it every time I talk to. If I'm talking to a lawyer from Thibodaux, especially, I'm thinking of one night. I was like, "What's going on in the city?"
In the city.
The city.
Absolutely.
Like, there's a lot of other cities.
Yeah, no, one. There's only one.
What is one of your favorite things about teaching, Gene? Because how long have you been a professor now at Nicholls?
So I've been teaching 12 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I've been teaching 12 years. I've taught about 8,000 students.
That's insane.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, like I joke with people that know me. A room full of people that have to listen to me talk. It's my dream. I'm like, I can't believe I get paid to do this.
By the Colley family.
Yeah, but they supplement, which we appreciate.
All right.
Shout out Colley family. They so I love the energy of being in the classroom. It's my classes are big. So there's like 90, 95 people. We're packed in there. It's a whole bunch of different personalities, a lot of people with a lot of different thoughts. It's me with my own different thoughts.
Is the topic, you're teaching business law?
Right.
Is that what you're teaching? Okay.
So I teach an introductory business law class.
Gotcha.
So I structure the class in a way to say, look, this is probably the only law class you're ever going to take. What kind of law are you really going to need to know in your life?
Right.
So I try and make it interesting, kind of what is the latest, what are the things that I think really are going to actually help you. So I think it's fun. I think that, they think there is some value in the things that I'm talking about and teaching to them, hopefully.
Well, I generally think, I always joke with my mom about this, I think you're like one of the funniest people I've ever met in my entire life.
I appreciate it.
And so I wonder sometimes, what do these students, like, do they all know about you before they walk in, or they just hit some of them like a Mack truck? Because I've never seen you teach, and I'm actually quite offended that you've never invited me to come and do a session.
We could rectify that.
We talked offline. I've shared my concerns in our private text messages. Yes. I think your dad's on my side on the topic. I haven't talked to him about it, but I might. But are they like hit by a Mack truck at your personality and how you make the class fun?
Yeah, I think that I have a reputation at this point. I mean, I've been doing it a long time.
RateYourProfessor.com. Is that still a thing?
It is. Yeah. You could check me out. Check me out after this. Rate My Professor. Check me out.
I should have pulled some before this show.
Oh, you should have.
That was a missed opportunity.
That would have been good. But yeah, I mean, I think some people know what they're getting into. I think others absolutely do not. And so that's also very, very fun. Because I know you've never been in my class. It's this. It's me up there with a straight face, delivering complete nonsense and a little bit of law, right? This is the whole time, and telling ridiculous stories. And yeah, I do think that they find it entertaining. I mean, look, my average student's going to be 19, 20 years old, right? I know I've got to entertain you a little bit. I got to give you something to make you think about.
15% of the time they're hungover.
Absolutely. Or not present, right?
Miles saying up a little bit. Maybe 20 or 25%.
Absolutely, right? So I know I got to do a little something to like get you engaged and make you understand that, yes, I think some of the content is important, that I think, hey, you're going to cross this at some point in time.
100%.
So it'd be good to know. But also the thing I think, we pride ourselves in the College of Business on, and also in the law, is not only content-wise, but how to think, right? Because laws change. They evolve. There's all these things. But just that critical thinking that we learned in law school, to start really introducing that to them as well, right? So an actual skill set that you can take from this class, from our business programs, and then, of course, take into the workforce.
Awesome. Well, I think part of it is just getting them to, like, actually be engaged. I think sometimes, like, some of my college classes, not naming any professors.
Yeah.
It's like, look, you're hungover a lot in class. You're you miss a lot of class. Like, it's college, everybody's having a good time, but like part of it is sometimes some of the topics can be dry, and so it's like just getting the class to like actually understand it in real life terms and it not be like a memorization exercise of stuff in a book, because like, as you know, you get into practice, like it's a real life situation.
Yeah.
And you have to solve the problem. It's
Absolutely.
not just like,
you need
know,
a solution. Like I tell my students all the time, no one's hiring you to Google things. Yeah. They can Google. They don't need you to Google. Like, you got to be able to solve problems, right? You have to be able to use knowledge that you know, but you have to be able to apply it to the real world. And look, there's all this talk these days about AI and tech and all these different things, and I'm all about it. Right? We have to teach our students how to use it. I think it's an important tool. But at the end of the day, it is about your own skill set and being able to use those tools and everything else to solve problems. And look, you're a proud alumnus, Nicholls State University.
Right. Very proud.
Right?
I'm a colonel.
A colonel, of course. And so it is those kinds of things that we hope track with our students over the long term.
For sure. How many, was anybody, besides your dad, your dad's a lawyer, for those listening who don't know, your dad and your mom are both lawyers. We're going to put details about the Gouaux Law Firm in the show notes.
Okay,
and
sure.
Put it out there.
Yeah.
But both your parents are lawyers. Were any of your other relatives were lawyers? What was your path on deciding to become an attorney?
That's a
I think
good
it was
question.
late, knowing I was just like always knew you're going to end up at Southern Law School because that was the go thing.
That was the thing. So my dad's dad was a lawyer. Like you said, he was Eugene Gouaux.
The first.
Yeah, he would say, he would say he was Eugene Gouaux. Period. There was no first, there was no senior. He was Gene Gouaux. And so, he was a lawyer. My dad, lawyer as well. Me, lawyer as well. All practicing in the same building in Lockport for 75 years.
All Eugene Gouaux.
All Eugene
lawyers.
Gouaux. All there. Now, watch this. My mom's dad, named Eugene. He was a lawyer. Her brother, Eugene, lawyer. She's a lawyer. Her other brother was a lawyer. My dad's other brother is a lawyer. His brother-in-law is a lawyer. My aunt is a lawyer. Vigner, I couldn't escape it. So I go to college. I'm like, I'm not being a lawyer. I'm going to be an accountant. That sounds like a thrilling existence, right? And so I thought I was going to do that. I have a master's in accounting. I thought I was going to do that.
At Southern Miss.
Yes, I did. I went to Southern Miss. I went to LSU for my master's in accounting, and I thought I was going to be a CPA and go that route. And I did an internship at a great company in their tax department. I thought I'm going to do like tax planning, tax consulting. And I was like, oh, this is terrible. I cannot be in this cubicle. I need people. I cannot do it. So last minute applied to go to law school. I went to Southern University, where my parents actually met and fell in love, and actually where my grandfather, my mom's dad, went also.
Oh, wow.
So I was third generation there.
Imagine the firm name, Go, 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 Go. I mean, the opportunities.
When I came out of law school and practiced with my parents, so when I first came out, it was me, my mom, and my dad. What every 20-something wants to do is work with their mother, right?
Yeah, of course.
And so I campaigned. I said, guys,
what
we have an opportunity.
What could you dream with for?
Guys,
I mean,
go, go, go. It's our name. It's literally. Tony stood against it, and we went with Gouaux Law Firm. And that's an opportunity we're still kicking ourselves about 15 years later.
Another unrealized opportunity was, what some people may not know, is we had a very loose plan to potentially practice together when I decided to become a lawyer.
Absolutely, we did. And you turned your back on me. I remember it well.
I wouldn't say that I turned my back on you. And the original plan was for the firm to be Go Vigner.
Go Vigner, absolutely.
And our television commercial plan was Go Vigner, Go. And we were going to be on the Bayou.
Absolutely.
I mean, the
with you dancing as I yelled, Go Vigner, go.
The creatives were endless.
They were.
That was before we hit the phenomenon of Martha Vigner, which has now become a thing of and of itself.
Absolutely. You know? It is.
And so who knows?
I don't know how you're affording her still. Y'all must be doing very well financially.
She's expensive.
I believe it.
Very expensive.
I believe it.
Okay. So moving on, tell me a little bit, since we're still on the topic of the practice of law, what are some of the challenges that y'all have? Because your family's been servicing that region forever, and with legal service, like you mentioned. What are some of the challenges inherent in like a rural practice as opposed to like a more like a practice in New Orleans or Baton Rouge, a bigger city type practice?
It's a very different thing, because when you're in a town of a couple thousand people and you've been there forever, people have problems and they need help with their problems. So while in bigger places, it is easier to specialize and say, look, we do this kind of work. This is what we're going to do. We're going to drive this, and that's what it's going to be. I think when you're a part of these communities, like, there is this obligation to the community and say, look, we're here to help the community. It doesn't mean you take every case that comes in, but this idea of getting highly specialized in those places, it's just not as practical, right? I mean, my dad's had clients for 45 years. Someone comes in, they need something, he's going to do everything he can to help that family out, you know? So that's a little different. And then, I mean, you know, rural South Louisiana is experiencing its own things with the hurricanes and insurance prices, inflation. Things are tough for people a lot of times. And so to provide legal work where we want to be fair to ourselves, but also like really be there for people, I mean, we can't charge these big city prices, you know, in the metropolis of Lockport. So that is, you know, so that is a difficult balance to find where we're trying to be fair to ourselves, but also very fair to our clients and give them the service that, you know, that they need.
Yeah, I think I kind of observed it a little bit with Dr. Gary Birdsall, who is like, he has to almost be like a specialist of all kinds down there because they don't have the same number of like different orthopedic surgeons or, you know, heart doctors or specialists who are down there full time. So he's got to know a little bit of a lot of different things. So it is almost, I think, more challenging for y'all as a practitioner being in a community where you have to be able to like help them with a succession, help them with a divorce, and possibly help them with a personal injury case. Like, runs the gamut. They need you to do everything for them over a 10, 20-year period, right?
Absolutely. Because, yeah, I mean, like, folks down there, I mean, unless you're like a sophisticated business person, you don't have a lawyer that you're in contact with multiple times a year and dealing with these different things. No, you hire a lawyer because something came up. And then years go by, and then they come back and see you for the next thing. And that's the kind of relationship that you have with most folks. You know, hopefully you don't have to see them that much because in that, you know, it's usually they're coming to see you for, you know, something's occurred. Someone passed away in the family, or, oh, God, someone got in this accident or things like that. So yeah, that's a challenge. It's
interesting you also said, because I've been thinking about it a bit, has there been, like, from your perspective, a lot of migration up to Thibodaux and northern parts of the state because of the insurance crisis happening down the Bayou?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I don't think people in New Orleans even realize it, like, because of how expensive insurance is down there from Ida and some of that other stuff. How many people have, like, moved out of there? Is it
absolutely. Oh, no, you see it. You see it in the southern parts of Lafourche. You see it in Terrebonne. Terrebonne took such a lick after Ida, and still not close to coming back, and I don't think it ever will. I mean, when you lose that much of a population for a while, they don't come back. I mean, we're already seeing, so, I mean, there are national trends outside of hurricanes, right? People have less kiddos. Like, we knew that there would be some population loss in this part of the state anyway, and then hurricanes have only exacerbated it. And where we're really seeing the pinch is Nicholls, right? The enrollment there. Our service area is this 7 parish area, right? We're a regional university to help this part of the state.
Right.
And look, Nicholls State University, it's transforming lives, right? When you look at the education level, a lot of people in that area, Nicholls is the only way they're going to get a college degree. And so we're seeing this service area, right? The population decline, enrollment decline, and all the issues that come along with that. So yeah, it's an insurance crisis. It's a population crisis. Based upon that, there's a lot of issues that are tied into it.
Well, I just realized being on campus a couple months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, about the enrollment decline. And what I think a lot of people don't understand, Gene, is that Nicholls really provides an education to a lot of the new talent that's coming out to support largely, not all, but a big section of the oil and oil services sector of the state.
Absolutely.
Which is one of the driving forces of the economy in Louisiana, besides maybe like tourism in New Orleans. Like what else do we like, right?
Yeah, no.
And so it was kind of interesting and scary at the same time to hear, because Nicholls enrollment had been going up historically, that it was going down. And so I was actually curious is that the sole reason, in your opinion, that enrollment's going down? Like, is it a lot of that?
So it was a couple things that happened at the same time. First of all, there were going to be less high school graduates no matter what. We knew based on national trends and birth rate, like we knew that this time period we were going to have less people graduating from high school. Then we had COVID. Then we had Ida, all back to back to back. Everything kind of happening at the same time. So that makes for some tough conditions to recruit students in and everything else.
Interesting. Now that we're on Terrebonne Parish, is Terrebonne Parish, we cannot end.
No.
I mean, we have some closing topics, but
yeah.
people from Chauvin or Cocodrie, if you will, and that's pretty far down there. Dulag. Is that considered down the bayou? Yes or no, and why?
That is absolutely not down the bayou.
What is it?
It is barely society. Some people would say. Look, there is a bayou in Lafourche Parish that is up the bayou or down the bayou. Terrebonne, you got a bunch of bayous. That's great. Good for you, Terrebonne Parish. It's not about up the bayou, down the bayou. You got too many bayous, to use that phrase.
So you would say they've over-bayoued, and that is basically the reason that
they have. They're over-bayoued, which is not a problem. I support it. I'm a bayou guy myself. But to use the phrase is completely ludicrous.
I don't want to weigh in.
Okay. You feel like that could alienate a large part of your listening population? Or?
It's a hot topic.
It's a hot topic.
And I feel like I see both sides of the debate. But, the people of Chauvin are on a bayou.
They are on a bayou, yeah.
And they are south of Houma.
Sure.
And so some there may say that they are down the bayou.
They're down a bayou. I don't know if they're down the bayou, though.
Okay, so they could be down.
Down a bayou, yeah.
Understood. In your teaching regimen, do you employ any use of drawing or things of that nature to help the students understand?
My classes are large, so I do utilize the Scantron still today in 2025. So I have not really gotten into my students drawing any depictions of legal theories or anything. But if I do, I will consult you.
I mean, sometimes you have to show what you know.
You have to show what you know, baby. You have to show what you know.
You just don't know. I mean, you don't want to turn into Neville Chamberlain and appease Hitler.
Absolutely. That cookie jar.
That
We've
would
all
be
seen
a dangerous precedent to set.
That would.
You mentioned earlier AI. What is your opinions on it? Go.
I think AI is fantastic. I think we have to be realistic about what AI is. So do I use AI? Of course I do, right? It can make things so much simpler.
What is your favorite AI? Is it ChatGPT?
So
That'd be quite basic of you if it was.
I'm a Claude guy. Come on. What do you... Yeah, Claude.ai.
Miles is not... Look, he's happy.
Yes.
He knew you used Claude.
Yeah, I'm a Claude... And you could see this. I'm a Claude guy. Okay.
Miles said that's why he let you come in here.
I mean, come on. What am I? 16? No. So... So honestly, I've played with both. I played with all different ones just to kind of try and get a feel and understand it. And I'm a basic guy, right? I'm trying to help me reword things, help me summarize things, help me process a little bit of data. I'm not trying to use it for everything by any stretch. But so AI, I think, fits into kind of just this larger theory of where I think everything's going. Look, things come in cycles. And right now we're in a big tech cycle. There's so much tech. There's all these things. It's all ramping up. You know what I think a lot of things are going back to? Face-to-face.
Yeah.
I think that we're a social species. We want to be in person with people. And I think that there will come a time when people want less tech and they'll want more in-person interactions. And that's what I actually see the value of professionals, lawyers like ourselves. You know what my clients like? I'm sure your clients like it as well. That they call someone and they talk to a human being.
100%.
And they know where we are in Lockport, and they could stop by and they could see us and they could call us on the phone, and they are going to talk to a human. Can AI make us more efficient? Absolutely. Should we be using it? Absolutely. I don't see this future where it's taking all these jobs or anything like that. I don't.
Are you afraid that the robots could take over?
I am not. I'm not afraid of the robots. And you could quote me saying that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You've weighed in.
I have weighed in.
Are you a robot?
I am a human.
Okay.
Yes. What about y'all? Y'all using a lot of AI here?
We do. I'm not being questioned.
Okay. Sorry.
You're the guest.
Sorry.
This is kind of like a deposition.
This is
you
similar to a deposition.
Me questions.
Okay, sure. That's fair. That's fair.
I do think you raise a good point, which is, in all seriousness, I find we went in this COVID thing, right? And everybody's like, let's go home and we're going to work remotely. And we're hybrid at the firm. I think it's great. I think it's a good opportunity to get people out of the office environment. It's a mental break, almost like different mental environment to think differently. And it gives flexibility in schedules. But there's still a yearning, I think, for people who work to be in an office environment where they're with their colleagues and there's actual inhuman interaction and collaboration. And I think it's the same for business with clients, with patients, if you're in medicine or whatever type of service
Yeah.
you're in, that they do want some level of human interaction. And like a lot of the stuff is coming back to where, I told everybody here the other day, I'm like, hey, if you're having an issue with a client and they're just not seeing eye to eye, or there's a communication issue on the phone, we have this really cool thing called Zoom.
Yeah.
Like maybe you could set up a Zoom meeting and like look them in the eye and talk
Yeah.
to them, or have them come in.
Yeah.
Like something wild like that.
Yeah,
Like
something
have them come
wild.
into
It's
the-
revolutionary.
Because it's
over
kind
here.
of crazy. Like it used to be, like before COVID, clients would come in our office to hire us.
Of course.
It's like, for us at least, not being in a rural parish and being solely in PI.
Yeah.
Like it's a much easier decision for a client to make to choose us because they're not paying money.
Yeah.
Right? There's no like,
Right.
it's not like getting money out of their pocket. Whereas a succession, a divorce, or
Yeah.
that type of case, it's like everything's remote. And it's like, I do think it has to come back, right? Like
I think so. I think it definitely does. And, it's, you're right. COVID accelerated this, and we even see it in higher ed, right? That there's a big push for online, and Nicholls has online programs. Those are good programs. I really think they are. But you know what a lot of students want? And look, you're talking about I don't know what our current numbers are. 55, 60% are still first-generation college students at Nicholls. They want to be in the classroom. And it's a different experience. It's not better. You don't learn better, whatever. It's different. Being in a room with people and joking around and sitting next to the same person and having the inside jokes and talking to me, bantering back and forth. It's a different experience. And I mean, again, I think it's a better experience. Not saying my class is the only example of that, but I think, that's something that my dad always talks about. My dad's an in-person person, right? And so that is always his advice when things aren't going right or you're not on the same page. Hey, why don't you stop on by and talk to me? And look, when you're across from someone and you're just having that human interaction, a lot of things melt away and you
100%.
see it and you could get on the same page.
Yep, because
right?
they're human. It's not being a keyboard warrior in an email or like
Exactly.
getting mad on the phone. Like
Exactly. Yeah, like we're sitting here and like you understand I'm coming from a good place, you're coming from a good place. Like what are we
now that I know
missing
you're
each
not a
other?
robot.
Yeah, exactly. Now that you know
I
am
was
human.
concerned
I
by
did-
that in the first 35 minutes of the interview,
Right, but I did
now that
confirm.
you've clarified that, I'm in a good
Then we're
place.
good. Then
Yeah.
we're good. But it really is so true. So yeah, we see it in business, we see it in the classroom, and then I think for lawyers as well, just getting in the same room as people, I think it's huge.
Okay, so we're going to do this new session before we end the show, Gene, that I call Overruled, and it's brought to you by Super Witch Ice Cream. Have you heard of Super Witch Ice Cream?
I am obsessed with Super Witch ice cream. It's small batch, right?
It's small batch.
Oh my god, I love it. My kids love it. I just feed it to them for every meal.
You know when
Super
to drop it.
Witch ice cream. Oh god, you got to be on Wednesday nights, right? Is it Wednesday nights?
Wednesday nights.
Yeah, Wednesday nights.
It's 7 p.m.
7 p.m. But boy, is it worth it. And we drive in from Thibodeau for it. Did you know that? I load up all my kids, 5, 3, and 1. And should they be sleeping? Yeah, but we're here just for the Super Witch ice
It's the
cream.
best ice cream I've ever had.
Absolutely.
Your kids must love it. And one of your kids is named after me.
That is true. We didn't get into that yet, but I did name my third child after you, David.
It meant a lot to me.
It did, yeah, as it should.
When you let me know, I was really excited
was.
about it. I don't think David Gravel was too happy, but that's his.
Yeah, he was a little well, he was confused. He thought it was named after him, and anyway, it's a big mess.
Glad we clarified.
We did.
So in this new session brought to you by Super Witch Ice Cream called Overruled, we're going to run through some topics I'd like to get you to weigh in on currently going on in the world.
Got
it. We have this big batch of UFO files being released by the government.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure you're aware of this investigation in Congress. What is your opinion on UFOs?
UFOs. I think that they are all fake news. I think it is all us. I don't believe that any of it is real.
Okay. In that same vein, the drones over New Jersey. Have you heard about the drones?
Oh, I've heard about the drones.
Do you have any opinions about the drones? Where are the drones coming from? What are the drones?
I think the drones are a bunch of drunk frat boys that have drones that they got for Christmas, and that they're just flying and causing mischief. And I find it to be slightly humorous.
Makes a lot of sense to me. Next, TikTok, the talk. We have a TikTok ban coming up on January 19th.
What's going to happen? What is going to happen on the TikTok ban?
I mean, I got to believe we talked about the down the Bayou residents being aghast earlier. Your students must be aghast.
Oh, they are.
potentially
They
losing
are completely demoralized by the ban coming.
The talk. They can't lose the talk.
I mean, potentially losing the talk. I mean, they can't. They can't handle it.
What would they do?
I don't know. Maybe listen to me in class.
That's a
That's the
possibility.
only upside I see.
What is your prediction? What's going to happen with the TikTok ban? On
I
January 19th?
think that the ban's going to go into place. Trump's going to come in. He's going to lift the ban, and then everybody's going to forget about it.
Interesting. In that same vein, another topic for you to weigh in on. Recently, I saw that President Trump, former president and soon to be new President Trump, has proposed that we change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Do you have an opinion on that particular topic? Should we change the Gulf to the Gulf of America? Do you like it as the Gulf of Mexico, or are you just ambivalent on the topic altogether?
Oh wow, I had not heard that. Maybe he announced that on TikTok, which I am not a part of. Yeah.
You're not with the times.
I am not with the times.
Are the kids aware that you're not on TikTok?
The kids have asked me to be on TikTok. They will send me around campus. They'll film me to put on their TikToks.
Gotcha.
But no personal accounts for me. But no, Gulf of America. Wow, hadn't thought about it. It sounds great. I mean, it sounds great to me. But I haven't really given it a lot of thought.
Interesting. Last question. Louisiana being a big sugarcane state.
Sure.
Is there a cane you like better than sugarcane?
No, I can't think of one.
Okay,
I can't think of one.
To make sure that we got you.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
It is the best.
It is the best, boy.
And I mean,
of all the canes out there, yeah.
And I mean, down in Cuba, they think they make it, but
no.
Nothing like Louisiana.
Nothing like we've got.
Sugar cane. So what does the future hold for you, Professor? How long do you think you'll teach at Nicholls? Is it going to be a career thing for you?
I will teach at Nicholls until they literally force me out of the door. I love it. I really do. It is my life's work.
Yeah.
I think the law is extremely important. The thing that I love about the law is there is a law of everything. It doesn't matter what you're interested in. There are laws, rules, regulations that relate to it. So it affects all of us at all times. And I like getting students excited about that idea. I like that the law is complex in that it is not just this surface level knowledge that you memorize and you move on from, right? It's this deep understanding, and then you have to take it and then you have to apply it.
It continues to change.
It does.
Which is interesting.
It is. It absolutely is. And showing them that evolution and how society changes, laws go along with that. So, no, I can't think of anything more interesting to teach. And I love being with students. It's like so cliche. Because I learn more from the students than they learn from me. But it is true.
Really do, yeah.
It really is, right? It's a conversation. It's this dialogue. It's this constant feedback that I get. And I love it. I mean, I love people. I love being with people, and being in the classroom is my favorite thing. So no, I will do it as long as they will have me.
I feel the same way because like every Friday, people don't even realize this, but it's like what happens in personal injury law that changes a lot, right? Like we get the comp quantum. Are you familiar with the comp
Yes,
quantum?
of course.
Yes, every Friday I read the comp quantum. It's the case updates. It's the jury verdicts. It's the summary judgments that are granted throughout the state, and there's usually something here or there that I'm like, I had to send it to all the lawyers to be like, hey, this changed, or like, look at this verdict, like, look how they handled this. Like, it's very complex and very challenging.
Absolutely.
And so it is always changing. And that's like the thing, I think, one of my favorite things about it, like the same that you just mentioned. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and flip this on the head, and I'm going to let you now ask me 3 questions before. This has never been done in the podcast.
God.
This is look, Miles is like, can't believe this is happening. He almost fell out of his chair.
Oh, my God.
This is a big deal.
This is a very big deal.
Bigger than your endowment.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
Massive deal. So now the floor is yours, Gene. You get to ask me as a host 3 questions.
I love it.
The deposition's been reversed.
Excellent. I'm very excited about this. Number 1, I want to understand. So you've been practicing for 14, 15 years, however long it's
13.
been.
You're making
13
me
years.
Yeah,
You look like 14, 15 years. Anyway.
Thank you. Thank you. It's kind for you to say that.
How did you land on, hey, look, I want to be on the plaintiff side in personal injury?
The easiest answer to that is there's a very hard outcome. It's very hard to win. You know, we fight for the win here.
I heard.
It's very hard to win for the client when you're in a large, heavily litigated, I like litigation, a heavily litigated hourly case that's not being paid by an insurance carrier.
Yeah, got
it. Right? Because even when they win, like they still have this massive legal bill that, did they really win?
Yeah, right.
And so a lot of like early in my career, a lot of representation of clients, where it's like it would almost like undermine the feeling of fulfillment that you got like a good result for them. Yeah. Because it was sort of hollow that like you're like, hey, I did everything I could for you, and I also didn't overbill you, and I was very judicious in what I billed.
And I like did a bang up job for you, and you're not feeling great.
It sucks. It sucks.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the dichotomy and the difficulty of an hourly practice is like, how do you get the client to a good result while minimizing the financial impact of the legal services, which are valuable.
Absolutely.
And you've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in your education and time and years that like, so I kind of just decided that like it was much much more of a daily kind of fulfillment thing to represent somebody on a contingency because, they needed you more, number one, because they typically don't have the financial resources to pursue the litigation. And then two, it wasn't like they had to pay you out of pocket.
Yeah. Okay, cool. No, I love
Good
it.
question.
I think
You've
it's
wasted one, so you only have two left.
Yeah, I only have two left. Number two,
Yes.
How do you stay up to date on the tech side of running the law firm? So, like, what tech do you need? What is it worth investing in? How much time do you spend? Talk to me a little bit about that.
That's a great question. I travel a lot now. Like,
Okay.
I go to conferences.
Okay, cool.
Mostly legal conferences, and I'm in a couple of like business mastermind groups.
Oh, nice.
And we have one organization that coaches us, and they have 2 conferences a year called Fireproof. They coach us weekly and do our quarterlies and annuals. And then they have these 2 conferences. There's another organization called PILMA that we go to their conference. And then there's 3 or 4 other conferences I started going to. And just being in all these groups, you start to discuss, like, right now I'm demoing like 4 pieces of AI technology to integrate into practice, which does medical chronologies, medical summaries, demand, stuff like that.
Amazing.
And so, but it is kind of a lesson I think people, not just in law, I've learned is like if you go to these conferences, you can learn from other people who've already done all this shit and made the mistakes of hiring the wrong vendors.
Right.
And will steer you in the right direction of which vendors to use.
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. That's good to know. Finally, third and final question. I saved the most important one for last, but which flavor of Super Witch ice cream is your favorite? Shout out again to Super Witch for sponsoring that section earlier.
It's a difficult question. I just tried, Miles, what was the one we had for Thanksgiving? Was it the pecan pie?
Dirt cake.
Oh yeah, Miles loves the
Black
pecan.
pecan pie is the best.
The black was it? What is yours?
Black bottom.
Black bottom pecan pie is Miles's favorite.
Okay,
and it's a special that Super Witch only releases for Thanksgiving. It was delicious.
Oh wow, okay, excellent,
but it was tough for me to top the flavor that Briggs brought on the show, which was dirt cake, mud cake. It was like chocolate with Snickers or peanut butter in it. It was just,
I'm all about that.
It was heaven.
I
mean, I think probably if you asked David Gouaux, my namesake, he would feel the same way.
Okay, and I will. And I will ask him when I get home. No doubt.
Please.
No doubt.
2, so he won't. Is he 1 or 2?
He's 1. Just turn 1.
1. Just turn 1. Okay,
turn
so ask him when you get home.
I will.
I would like to know his favorite recipe.
Okay. I will.
There's only one topic that we could possibly in this show on Gene.
God, I can't wait.
And it is the most pressing topic.
Yes, I'm ready.
No topic better than this one. I would like to know your thoughts on, we talked a little bit, we just touched the surface, as you will, of the celebrity of Martha Vignair.
Oh my God.
I mean, just comment on a little bit of what you see.
I mean, Martha, I've known Martha, I mean, my God, since my childhood. She's always been a celebrity. Yep. I mean, we know that, but now the world knows that.
Yep.
I can't imagine what the contract negotiations are like, right, to get her to appear. I can't imagine financially what you're obligated to her now. You could tell on screen that things are stressed between y'all and just you aren't as close as you used to be because of this now professional monetary relationship that y'all have. And that does make me a little sad. And my prayer really is that y'all can move past all this and reunite.
We're trying. I mean, the difficulty is she can't even, one of the complaints and what has driven her price up, candidly, I don't want to go straight into contract negotiations because us being in the biz,
I understand.
We know some things have to stay confidential.
That we do.
Confidentiality, confidential. She can't go to L&N and tell that without being spotted.
God. And the sales they are having at L&N that she is not able to capitalize on, that's a tragedy. That's a real tragedy. I pass Martha's house twice a day, just as I live around the corner from David's parents, and you wouldn't believe the paparazzi that are parked outside of her and Bruce's house.
It's a lot of people.
It's so many people. She can't drive the golf cart to Benton's house, I'm sure. I mean, she's always got to be done up.
You can't even get down Rosedown.
Exactly, no. You can't. And it's like causing other traffic issues. And anyway, the mayor has to get involved. It's a lot. So I do empathize with her at her age that she's dealing with this.
I appreciate your take on it. I couldn't also pass up on, I know you're a big fan of Hope's recipes.
Yes, I am. Of course.
For those
been following Hope for a long time follower.
Those of you who don't know, in our attorney we send a newsletter, a bunch of attorneys, about 600 or 700 attorneys. We're lucky enough to have you on that newsletter.
Oh, wow.
You're about to get a surprise from us in the mail, too. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Oh, my God, I can't wait. I can't wait.
It's a big one. Doesn't get much bigger. But I know you're a big fan of Hope's recipes.
Yeah.
Is there a favorite recipe from the newsletter that you like?
Obviously, it would definitely be Hope's great-grandmother's pecan pumpkin pie. I mean, that was really a recipe we all remember, and she definitely put in the newsletter, and it just really, it's now become a part of our family tradition, and boy, are we thankful for that. And how about dry January? Am I right? Just for the 5th year in a row, I think some people are still doing dry January.
I am.
From what it's you. It's you. I couldn't remember
that?
who Vic's Picks. You think I don't read Vic's Picks? You think I don't know you're trying to escape the humidity 2 months from May to August this year?
That's right. So you have been reading. And
Vic.
Vic's Picks are as good as it gets.
I read every word because, as a great man once told me, be a goldfish.
Be a goldfish. In closing, I would like you to be able to share one thing that you want the people, the listeners, to know that's great about Lafourche Parish.
That's great about Lafourche Parish?
Yeah.
Nicholls State
The only
University and the College of Business is what I want to talk about. Look, we've hired excellent faculty members from all over the country to teach in the College of Business. If you come to Nicholls, you're going to get a small student-to-faculty ratio. You're going to get professors that actually care about you. And one day you could be so successful, you could own your own law firm. Those are the kinds of graduates that we have at Nicholls State. But seriously, I'd love any of your listeners. They've got students that are in high school that are looking. They don't want to go to the big schools. They want a smaller school experience. I would love for them to get in touch with me and hear more about Nicholls.
Yeah, Nicholls is a great, in all seriousness. I love Nicholls. I went to undergrad at Nicholls.
I know.
Huge Nicholls supporter. And there's a fair amount of Nicholls grads in New Orleans, in Baton Rouge, in different sectors in law. And it's just a great university. So I hope there are more people who start to look at that as an option, because you really do have that close regional university, which is much more affordable than, no offense to my alma mater from law school, Loyola or Tulane.
Yeah.
Much more affordable, very close and small campus feel. So in closing, Gene, anything else you'd like to leave our listeners with? It's been a fantastic discussion. We've really hit on some groundbreaking topics.
Some big topics. No, man, I'm really thankful for the invite.
Yep.
I really am. When I see people that we grew up with, like doing well, like you are, it makes me proud. I am. I'm proud of where we're from, and I think that I'm super grateful for the childhood that we have, and I'm genuinely happy for you.
The feeling's mutual. All right, thank you all for listening. This has been a fascinating discussion with one of my best friends and lifelong friend. Learned about history and French together. That's how we became fluent in French. I actually was speaking French earlier.
I could barely speak English. My French is so good.
I know.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that the other day.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Madame, she did that for us.
She did.
Thank you all for listening. This has been the Overrule Podcast, brought to you by the Scott Vignair Law Firm. I hope that you check out the Gouaux Law Firm. We will put it in the show notes. It is in Lockport, Louisiana. We're also going to have a bunch of information in Nicholls in the show notes and all those links. So thank you, Gene, for being here. Awesome. Professor Gouaux, it's been a pleasure, my friend. It's good talking with you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
See you all next time.
Scott Vignair, injury attorneys, we fight for the win.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.